Thank you, Samantha. Now we can go ahead and continue on with how to make the chocolate chip cookies. First, you're going to need a kitchen with an oven. The first thing you're going to want to do is preheat the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit so that the oven can heat up while you prepare the cookies. In a small bowl, you're going to mix together the flour, the baking soda, and salt. Put that to the side, and then you're going to get a larger bowl, and in this larger bowl you're going to mix together the butter, the granulated sugar, the brown sugar, and vanilla extract. Mix it all up until it's nice and creamy. Then you'll add in the eggs one at a time. And once that's all mixed together, you can now gradually add in the flour mixture. Now it's time to add in the morsels and nuts or substitutes, depending on the kind of chocolate chip cookie that you want to make, whether it's a healthy one, vegan, gluten-free, all your preference. This is the time to add in whatever you need to add in. And that's it. Your cooking batter, your cooking dough is complete, and you can now begin putting it or prepping it to put in the oven. You're going to need a cookie platter plate. And on this cookie platter plate, you're going to roll up the dough or the cookie batter and set them about 1 inch apart. Now you're going to want them to be the same amount, so that way when it cooks it's all the same size. A good rule of thumb is doing about 1 tablespoon of cookie dough, or you can just get a cookie scoop, which that should be a little bit easier to do. Now the oven at this point should be ready to go and should be heated at the 375 degrees Fahrenheit. You will then bake the cookies for about 9 to 11 minutes or until it's a golden brown. A quick tip, you can use aluminum foil at the bottom. That way the cookies come out nice and moist, and also it helps with cooking the cookies out evenly. And at the end, it's an easy cleanup, and who doesn't like an easy cleanup? Now the most important tip that I can give is not to overbake. Cookies tend to keep cooking once the cookies are out of the oven and they're cooling down. So it's very important not to overbake, or else you'll come up with some complications. Some issues that may occur or may come up is that the cookies may come out too crispy, too gummy, or too stiff. The reason why they may come out too crispy is because too much sugar was added onto the cookie dough, or because it was overbaked. So you left them too long in the oven, and then when they were continued cooking outside when they were cooling, it just got too hard. The reason why it could be too gummy is because you didn't leave them in the oven for too long, or you didn't leave them in the oven for the enough amount of time, or there was too much moisture and too much liquid in the cookie batter. So it's important to make sure that you mix those all up. The reason why the cookies could come out too stiff is because too much flour was added into the batter, or the cookie dough wasn't at room temperature. For example, let's say you made too much cookie dough and you want to save some for the next day, and you put them in the refrigerator, and then when you go to make your cookies again, they're still cold from the fridge, and you put them in the oven, and that's why they do come out a little bit stiff. So it's best to give it a little bit, make sure it's at room temperature, and then you put them in the oven. Of course, like everything in life, it takes time and practice. So don't feel pressured, don't feel stressed if this is your first time making the cookies and they don't come out perfectly or the way you like it. The more you do it, the more you try, you'll just get better and better at time. Once you take the cookies out of the oven, this is where you're gonna let them cool for, I'd say 2 minutes. Let them cool down, and then you can transfer them onto a cooling rack, a platter, a plate, and they're ready to enjoy for your friends and your family. You can have it with a glass of milk or your drink of choice. Caitlin, what are your thoughts on the chocolate chip cookie?